Challenging times have almost always historically produced great innovation. We have the opportunity to take what is a very challenging time and make it something that makes us the best version of ourselves, puts us in the best possible position. If we do things the way we've always done them, we will be out of luck. As physicians, we have kind of been taught, do good medicine and everything else will work out. But it's not a thing that works anymore. Right. And if we look around, we see the pressures, we see the challenges, we see the burnout, we see the loss of autonomy, we see what's happening in private practices, we see what's happening all over. But there is a way out, right? In the very beginning, the very first EntreMD Live that we hosted, I shared this model, and that's what this is. And if you look at, for instance, basketball players, it's the same model they observe. Okay. And this is what it is. There is you, the doctor, and then there's the business, and then there's the empire. A lot of times we do the doctor. So we're the doctor, we get the training, we know how to take care of patients, and that's it. And this should take care of everything. It doesn't really work that way. Same with a basketball player. If they just came and played basketball and they didn't observe the laws of business, the endorsements, the relationships they could build and all of that, they will be fresh out of luck. They will be, right? And so entrepreneurship is a great equalizer. Entrepreneurship is what puts us back in the driver's seat, gives us back control. This is what puts us back in a position where we can call the shots. We can be the leaders. We can determine our own destiny, if you will, as far as our careers go. And yes, we did not get a business education, but that is not a problem anymore because we have access to a business education now. And that's what we're here to talk about. Now, I started talking about this in 2016. EntreMD was launched in 2018. The EntreMD Business School was launched in 2020. And it has been it's like one of my life's greatest honors to watch doctors make unbelievable transitions. The circumstances had not changed, but they had changed. And to watch somebody go from employed physician to running a thriving practice, go from employed physician to deciding I'm an entrepreneur, and they're negotiating like bosses. And so now they're practicing medicine on their terms and earning on their terms. To watch doctors like who've been told, oh, you're a disgrace. You can't even, produce the RVUs and all of these things, go on to start their own practices and crush it. To watch people who've been in private practice for 10 years and then come back and they start having their best years ever. They're able to take 2 months off, all of these things. It's been such a game changer. But for years, I've watched it and I'm like, how can we show everybody what is going on here? Like, how can we do that? And for the first time, we're able to do it in a way that is closer to what I've always wanted to do, where you get to hear the stories, where you get to see the data and all of that, and then you can come to your own conclusions for yourself. Now, I want to be very clear. We're not here to do a hard sales pitch or anything like that. We are here to show you what is possible. Now, for some of you, you will then decide, oh my goodness, it's possible, it's in this container, all of that stuff. I want to come join you guys, and we will tell you how to do that. But whether you join us or not, what I want you to think about is what is commonly accepted in the physician community does not have to be. There's an alternate reality. Things can be different. And I want to invite you to embrace that. Things can be different. It doesn't have to be the way it is. Think about the top 3 challenges you have in your business right now, whether you've started and you're at multiple millions, like some of you are, or you're just about to start, whatever that is, I want you to think about it. It does not have to be this way. Okay. All right. So I'm going to walk you through some of the data, some of the stories, all of those things, but I want you to really lean into this. And these are not made up. These are reported by the doctors themselves. I want you to see this, okay? This is the EntreMD Business School. The way we think about it is a 7-figure and 8-figure physician CEO mastermind. And so this is for physicians. This is for physicians who are entrepreneurs or committed to that journey of entrepreneurship, who are committed to building businesses that help a lot of people while giving them the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. So there is nothing we do that is set up in such a way that you have to sacrifice your life or sacrifice your family in order to build a business. We build this on the fact that you can have it all. Okay. Now, to have it all, you have to play a different game, but you can have it all. Okay. And We don't teach business. We're not looking to give you another certificate, even though it turns out we are going to do some certificates this year. But it's not about giving you certificates, giving you knowledge, giving you expertise of a curriculum as far as a knowledge base. We help you install operating systems in your businesses so that you can produce scalable, profitable physician-owned businesses. That's what we want. So we're huge on implementation. We're huge on your transformation. We're huge on all of that. This is the EntreMD Business School. Now, let's look at what is happening. Okay, let's look at what is happening. And I want to remind you, I always love to remind physicians of this. You went through one of the hardest training paths on the planet, okay? One of the hardest, and you did it. Most medical schools have an admission rate of 1 to 3%. Okay, you figured out how to get in there. You figured out how to graduate. You figured out how to go through residency. For many of you, figured out how to go to fellowship. So you being brilliant, that's a given. You being dedicated, that's a given. The thing is that we got one part of our education, which is the clinical side, and we got nothing about the business side. And somehow, because we're really smart, we were convinced like, oh, you can figure it out. Okay. But if you couldn't figure out medicine, you also cannot figure out business. We see people trying to figure out medicine and we see how that's working. Okay. So you may be in a position where you find yourself working harder, but the revenue doesn't quite reflect it. And maybe the revenue reflects it, but the profit definitely doesn't reflect it, right? You may have a team. So I have a team, I have a big team. But it's so challenging to lead the team. It's so challenging to get the best out of your team. It's so challenging to get the rock stars to function the way you want them to function. It's really challenging. So the more team members you bring on, the more pain it is because your profit margin disappears and you have more work, not less work, right? Or maybe you're like, I want growth. Maybe you've set a goal. You've set it for 3 years in a row. This is what I want to accomplish, but you do not know how to get there. You can know business the same way you know your ACLS algorithm, or for my P's people, your PALS algorithm, where there's an algorithm. Like if this is doing this, do this, right? And you can know that. So it's not that you're failing as an entrepreneur. It's just that you don't have the playbook. Okay. And we're going to talk about how that changes today. Okay. You just don't have the playbook. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing at all. Okay. Now, let's look at the cost of inaction, because sometimes people say, well, I'll figure it out, or I'll think about it next year, or I'll think about it. And there's no time like the present. One of the things that, has created a lot of the successes that I have is the ability to be decisive and to go into action mode, like as quickly as possible, because we're burning daylight. Like, we're burning 2026. Look at it. We're already on the 16th of February as of this recording. Like, think about it. It almost feels like the New Year's was yesterday, but here we are. Okay. So every year that we function in our businesses without a proven business system, it costs us. It costs us a lot, right? And so it costs you the time that you wouldn't get back. And you see some of the results that the doctors in the EntreMD Business School are getting. And you ask yourself, like, what is it costing me if I do not have a proper business system, right? It costs you the time. It costs you the revenue you could be earning already. It costs you the peace of mind. There's so much mental clutter with not knowing what to do. When you know what to do, it is a beautiful place to be in, because even when you have challenges, you look at the challenge, you run the diagnostics, you're like, okay, this is what it is. This is what needs to happen. And you could go about your way, knowing you know what to do. Okay. All right. So this was a very interesting number. When we got the surveys back and all of that, the average growth per EBS member. Now, of course, this is average, right? Is $390,452, which is mind-boggling to me, but accurate, right? So again, we're always like, this seems like an alternate reality, and I'm glad that I get to share those numbers with you guys. Okay, all right. So let's talk about the school itself. School is a performance, like a high performance environment for physician CEOs. So it's not a course, it's not a weekend workshop. It's definitely not a thing like, let's just try this. That's not what it is. It is a 12-month performance environment for physician entrepreneurs who are ready to build 7 and 8-figure businesses. And it doesn't matter necessarily where you're starting from if this is your intent and you're committed to doing the work. right? So it's your intent, you're committed to getting the work done, and you are coachable. Like you're willing to learn, you're willing to change, you're willing to try new things. Okay. So what do we have there? We have proven strategy. The EntreMD Business School at this point has been around for almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years in July. And we've served hundreds of doctors getting really wild results, right? And same thing with me as somebody who is a mentor in the community, wild results over the last 15 years as an entrepreneur. And then fierce implementation. So sometimes people say, well, I know that. And I'm like, oh, as entrepreneurs, it's not about knowing at all. Like literally, you can create no change in your business by knowing. The change in your business comes from doing. And so what we are big on is helping you implement. And for those of you who are in the entrepreneurship business school, you will even see some changes that we've made to something that is already great to make it greater so you can implement even more. Okay. So every concept is installed through structured sprints that produce measurable business outcomes. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So you have the proven strategy, you have the implementation, and you have a supportive community. I am yet to see a community in the physician space that is as supportive as the EntreMD Business School, where people will have the biggest challenge and they will live those challenges out in front of their classmates, navigating, working out the solution. So literally your classmates are master classes of what to do. Somebody will say, oh, I did, I crossed the $1 million mark in my business, and this is exactly how I did it. They're not ashamed of sharing their triumphs. They're not ashamed of sharing their trials. So you learn so much from your classmates, and they open doors for you. They connect you to other opportunities. They refer to you, they challenge you to keep moving forward and to do things you never thought you would do. In fact, we had a doctor who was at one of our retreats, and while she was there, the other coaches in the group were like, you are charging too little. You really need to raise your prices. She walked away from that place. She raised her prices. And she went all in on making offers, and she had her first $91,000 month. Like, if you can think about it, really insane. It's not just rah, but people challenge you because they know what you're capable of. Now, we don't focus on a lot of things in the business school. We distilled it down. Like, what are the things that physicians have to understand if they're going to thrive? And what are the things that are universal? Whether you are starting you are trying to get to 8 figures, what are the things you must get? Right. And so what you'll find out about the EntreMD Business School is it's been around for 5.5 years. And the people who've been in the school for 5.5 years, why? Because they keep running reps and getting better and better at these core concepts, which are the concepts that make every business work. So the first pillar is the 7-figure CEO. And when we talk 7, is what we're adopting as the floor, right? Like, so that doesn't mean 7 is the cap. It means 7 is the floor. Like, this can take you to 7. This can take you to 8. Okay. So the 7-figure CEO, and this is really around the identity. I know nothing works till this works, right? So where you make that transition from physician to physician entrepreneur, it's not the same person. You may have heard me say this, that a physician has never run a successful business, because it's not a physician who does that. A physician entrepreneur does. So how do you strategically make that? How do you make that transition? How do you become the person who manages their time as a 7-figure CEO? How do you become the person who, is able to set goals as a 7-figure CEO? How are you the person that has the mindset and the habits of a 7-figure CEO? These are all transitions we must make. Otherwise, you might find yourself as a physician who owns a business, right? And it will be a struggle to win at that business, okay? The second thing we look at is the 7-figure brand. And I'm not talking about logos and colors and all of that, but it's what is the engine that makes you the number one option in your market? How do you position yourself that way, right? And I'll show you some things that we do under that, but how do you position yourself as the only option? And so because of that, we have our students on the biggest stages. We have them as the preferred referral sources for the biggest hospital systems. We have them, as desired speakers, desired practices, and all of those things. In fact, there's a medical pharma company that was training its speakers, and there were 200 docs there, and 6 of them were EBS people. They do this stuff, right? And it's just phenomenal to see. So huge influence, and not to be influencers to have likes and clicks and that. No, it is influence that produces impact and revenue. That's what we're about. We're a no fluff company. Okay. And the third pillar is the seven-figure revenue generation system. Again, I want you to think about this as ACLS or PALS, because this is an algorithm. How do I create revenue? And it's not a wish and a hope. It is a system. It is a strategy. It's an algorithm, and you can run reps on it, and you can control how much you make, right? Okay. And one of my favorite is the seven-figure team, right? This is what exponentially increases your impact, exponentially increases your revenue, exponentially increases your time off, which is a phenomenal thing. Those three things are phenomenal, but it is a seven-figure team that delivers that to you. If you do not have the team that can support you at that level, you can't pull it off. And you'll see what our people do with the growth of their businesses and time off and all of that. Okay, these are seven pillars, that's four pillars you never graduate out of. You never outgrow, as long as you're still growing, you never outgrow the need to work on your identity. Like, I am in the middle of a huge identity shift myself right this moment, right? You don't outgrow that. You don't outgrow the brand. You don't outgrow the revenue generation system. You don't outgrow the seven-figure team. You just get better and better at it. You run reps and you become better. And the better you get at it, the bigger your business gets, and the more time and the more impact you have, and the more time off you have, and the more revenue you have, right? So you never graduate from these things ever, ever. Okay. All right. Now, here's the big thing, right? How do we turn the strategy into results? And here is where EBSers, we're rolling this out in March. You're going to be so blown away. Okay. So blown away. So we've always done this, but this is the way that we're doing it now. We want you to acquire knowledge. So I do a lot of teaching, a lot of training, a lot of all of those things. But the purpose of the knowledge is not to know. I am never teaching for anybody to know. I am teaching for you to know, to do. Right? Because that is where the rubber meets the road. That is where the transformation happens. That's where all of those things take place. And so what we've built into the EntreMD Business School, we've always done monthly challenges, but this is a whole other level. And we have these monthly sprints. So I want you to think about it. If you think about the four pillars that we looked at, they all have three components under them each. So that's 12 different things. And once a month, we're taking one aspect. Okay, so this is the monthly sprints. We take one aspect, we're doing focus training on it. And then you have a single worksheet that is your implementation guide. So your job that month is to put in enough reps to master this concept, right? And so you're taking action on it, and then we're going to measure the results afterwards. And what this will do is it will put you in a position where every 4 weeks you are different and your business is different. This is the goal. This is what we're after. Because if you can do that, then at the end of 12 months, imagine where you will be. Okay, so every week in the EntreMD Business School, this is what it will look like. For every month, week one, we're doing the tactical training on that core concept that we need to master. The second week, you'd have had a week to practice, and we're going to come in, we're going to do Q&A on that same concept. Okay, now there are two things we don't change. Okay, so week 3, we're working on RevCon. And RevCon, we come and troubleshoot your revenue. This is my revenue goal. This is where my revenue is now. This is what my constraint is. And then we come in and we tackle the constraints. What is the purpose of the RevCon? Get the constraints out so you can go hit your revenue targets, and so we can celebrate. Okay. So regardless of what training model we're working on, we will always come to the revenue. Why? Because businesses serve and earn, and we don't take our eyes off the revenue. Okay. And on the 4th week, we're doing our reinvention by imagination, which is really our signature system for identity upgrades. Why? Every time you upgrade your identity, your business changes. Every single time. Every single time. And so this is what we do. Like, we're not playing. We're not doing cute things. No. This is built to push you along. So every single week you are moving forward. And we don't play on these calls. We work on these calls. Okay. And we do it every Wednesday at 7:00. So that's what happens every single week. Okay, now let's look at some reports. Okay, so we looked at 47 doctors from the EntreMD Business School filled out this survey, and we were looking at what's going on. And this is like super high level, the results that are there, which are like so mind-boggling and so phenomenal. So as a group, the aggregate revenue growth, 267%, okay, in 2025, which is pretty nuts. Average individual revenue goal, so again, this is on average, 90%. So almost double on average. On average, I have to remember we have entrepreneurs there. We have people starting out in business here. So this is the average. Net promoter score, 88.4. Now I have to explain this one a little bit because the net promoter score is not a percentage. Okay, it's not a percentage. So to put this in context, the net promoter score for Apple is 61. The net promoter score for Disney is 38. It's not a percentage, right? And so 88.4 is like world-class loyalty. Okay, is unbelievable. Okay, average revenue, when you look at the average of the room, 773,000. Again, remember, we have entrepreneurs who are people who are working their jobs and doing what they do. And this one made me really happy. 74% of the doctors who are physician entrepreneurs took at least 2 weeks off. And you'll see the number who took off at least a month, and you'll see the number who took off 3 months. I'll show you that in a little bit. And so are they giving up their lives to build these businesses? No, they're not. They're not. 72%, gave a perfect score, 10 out of 10. Another 16% gave 9 out of 10, which again, it speaks volumes. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next slide. All right. And, you would say, well, why do the doctors just stay? Why do they keep staying? We have people from the 2020 cohorts who are still in the school. Because what we've seen is, like anything else, like fine wine, the longer you stay, the more you grow. Why is that? Because the people in the EntreMD Business School they're in a growing container. There is no 90-day period where the EntreMD Business School is exactly the same. It's not a set it and forget it. We're constantly making it better. I, as the leader, I invest heavily in myself. And I'm not telling you to do this, but the minimum I have ever invested in myself since I started this is $100,000 a year. Getting coaching, upgrading myself, transforming myself. Why? So I can take people further faster. Okay? So we give at the highest level, we train at the highest level, and we know when people put the reps in, the results show. In fact, at our last vision retreat, I was sitting with a number of the doctors who are in MBS who had been in at least, most of them had been at least, 3 to 4 years thereabout. And they said, Dr. Una, how do we let the rest of the school know that a year is not enough? Like a year, you're going to get wild results, because there are people who cross the 7-figure mark in a year, and 15 months, and 18 months. Like we've seen things like this over and over again, but they're like, but if you can stay learning and growing and putting in the reps and all of this stuff, you'll be so mind-boggling where you find yourself. And I was like, yeah, we have to figure that out, right? We have to figure out how to let them know. Okay, so 2025 cohort. And this cohort, this includes people who joined in December of 2025, okay? But this is everybody for 2025. Average 214,000, then 300,000. And this is average, okay? Not highest earners. 525, 882, 1.1 to 2 million plus. Pretty crazy, pretty crazy. And the net promoter score is above 9 across all cohorts, okay? So this is not about a quick fix. This is about transformation. It's about being in a growth engine. It's about going from one level to another. Again, pretty mind-boggling, okay? All right. So a few docs here. This is Dr. Panico. She is a rheumatologist, and pre-revenue when she started, multiple 7 figures now, been in the program for 3 years, 10 out of 10 satisfaction. I want you to hear the words. Scaling with less fear than if I didn't have the background knowledge that I have from EBS. My dreams are bigger, they're bigger, and I'm much less afraid. And she said, I'm afraid to leave because of the support and accountability keeps me going. I love the dedicated time together. Seeing my friends do amazing things pushes me further. And she says, you will find a way to make the time and pay the cost. I teach my kids about things I learn in EBS, so incorporating the learning into my family. We talk about EBS Junior all the time, knowing that as you change, your entire family changes. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. This is Dr. Moyer. She is an OBGYN. She has a cash pay practice in Texas. She is so amazing. She rejoined the EntreMD Business School in 2025, in June of 2025. And she says, these are her words, 2.5x my revenue in the first 6 months of being in the EntreMD Business School, made back my investment in the first 30 days, 10 out of 10 satisfaction. And she was like, I'm shocked by how much it challenged me outside of my comfort zone and yielded huge returns. It is always working, which is something we always say in the EntreMD Business School. Sometimes it seems like it's working. Sometimes it seems like it doesn't, but it's always working. And she says the EntreMD Business School puts you in a community with like-minded physicians who mirror what is possible and encourage you as you reach for your goals. Investing in yourself is the best return on investment. Okay? So huge, huge. Dr. Ishmael, she's a physician coach. She's unbelievably amazing. Unbelievably amazing. Okay, so her story is so fun because she says, I did $100,000 in the first 10 months of 2025. And then in the last 2 months, I did 270,000. Like in 2 months, right? And she said, I made my investment 6 times over in my first 6 months. I want you to think about that. That's pretty crazy. I love the way she's thinking. She says, before being in the business school, I was building a one-on-one coaching firm. Now I'm building a company that will change the lives of academic physicians by improving their onboarding and ongoing academic careers and a CME arm, and employ physician coaches and be a business I can sell in 4 to 5 years. Can you feel the identity shift here? Right? So this is not from tactical strategy. This is an identity shift, complete shift. So wild. Okay. Dr. Karen Kaufman, she's been in since 2020. She just celebrated her 5th year, 6th year in private practice. So this, of course, was before that. And she says she was employed when she joined, now multiple 7 figures, been in the program for 5 years, 10 out of 10 satisfaction. Before EBS, I did not have the tools to know how to build a successful business. And now I'm leading a team with multiple physicians and leading a multiple 7-figure company. I didn't know who I could become or what I was capable of doing. Again, do you hear that identity shift? So this is why we have all those pillars. You making the transition from physician to physician CEO, you building this dominant brand, you understanding how to create revenue, you building this profitable team. These 4 things, this is the framework, right? And we work it. It's not about knowing the framework, it's about working the framework, right? And having the mentorship, the accountability and community to do it. This is what she says about EBS. It's an investment, not an expense. And that's a huge, huge, huge thing. The amount you will learn and then will implement will generate revenue to cover the amounts you paid and then some. Okay? All right. So this is the way the doctors think about this. And she's been in since 2020. Dr. Saralta, she's so amazing. She is a dermatologist, a veteran private practice owner. She joined in 2021. And actually, I think I can say this because she said it publicly. And it was her 50th birthday present to herself. And on her birthday, she signed up and joined the business school. And I remember her celebrating her first 7-figure month. Like, so wild. You think about it. Her first 7-figure month, 2025, she took 2 whole months off. Satisfaction, 9 out of 10. And, it's put her in a position where it's allowing her to work on the business and not in the business. I think she works 2.5 days, somewhere around there. And she's like, I'm more purposeful with my time. When I have time with my family, I plan ahead. I have more quality time with my family. And again, this is the reason why we talk about this transition from physician to physician CEO. We show you how to manage your time. We show you how to build a CEO calendar so that you can build the life that allows you have it all. Profound impact, time freedom, financial freedom. We want you to have all of it. And she says EBS can be as much as you want it to be. Even if you take 10 to 20% of all the wisdom, you'll significantly improve. Because sometimes people say, I can't do everything. I don't know anybody in the business school who does everything, right? They don't do everything. But the thing is being committed, giving it your best shot, going all in, right? And you'll be surprised where it will take you. Really surprised. Dr. Toomer is so amazing. She's been in since 2021. These were our initial numbers, 613% growth in 1 year, 467% patient volume. And she is somebody who values her time with her family. She values her dream life. She took 3 months off. Okay. In 2025, she took 3 months off. And she talks about the confidence in her zone of genius. And you would think an entrepreneur would talk about, like, she did the revenue. She did all of these things. She did the impact, but she's like, time for my family and time for my health, right? Time for my family, time for my health. So she says, there's no way to describe the growth provided until experienced, right? Until experienced. The sense of family and constant learning and growth keep me coming back. Just unbelievable, right? What is going on, right? Okay. So before we continue, right here in the comments, right, I want you to think about it this way. We have the opportunity to live in an alternate reality. And that's what these doctors are experiencing in a time when burnout is at an all-time high, when a time when private practices are shutting down like flies, a time when, for the ones that are not shutting down, for some of them, yes, they're doing the 3 million, 4 million, 5 million revenue, but it's like zero profit. Like nothing is really happening there. And the level of stress and all of those things. And I want to invite you, like before we go any further, to say yes to the alternate reality, to say yes, like, I'm going to make this alternate reality my new norm. These are the doctor's words. None of these things are doctored. These are things that they said by themselves. So moving along here. And these are some things, and I just picked these because this is in their words, and I really want you to hear this, right? And I picked these because a lot of times, there's concerns, even for the doctors who are in the school, like, what if I don't have the time to do this? What if this is not the right time? What if I can't afford to invest in myself? What if I don't think I can pull off the results? And I really want to, pull out words, like their own words, for you to see, this is interesting. Okay. So when it comes to time, and I didn't ask them these questions. This is just based on, what would you say to someone who's thinking of joining? Or what is the thing that shocked you the most about being in the school and all of these things? So when it comes to time, the things they said around that, and I didn't put any names here because the EntreMD Business School is really a very sacred space. People really share and people are really vulnerable. And I try to respect that. But these are their words. It says totally doable, even for a mom with responsibilities. Okay. You learn shortcuts that help you reach your goals faster. So when people tell me, I don't think I have the time to do EBS, and I'm like, then that means you need it. Because one of the things we do, is a core thing, is we help you get your time back, right? We've been taught to sacrifice everything and have no time for ourselves and all of that. We don't subscribe to that, okay? This other doctor said, I didn't lose time. I stopped wasting it. How would you like to stop wasting time? Right? And you find that, oh my goodness, I can get all this stuff done and get more time. And this is a regular experience of the doctors in the school. Okay, on whether this is the right time. I remember Dr. Karen Kaufman, she was on a call probably just like this. And she said to me, she said, well, I'm thinking about, this was September. I'm thinking about, maybe starting a practice, months from now. She eventually started in January the following year. She's like, do I join now or do I join later? And I said to her, I said, starting a business doesn't make you an entrepreneur. Becoming an entrepreneur makes you an entrepreneur. So this is the time. And I'm so happy she said yes to that, because when she did start, she started with a waiting list of 350 patients waiting for her. And she saw 16 patients on day one and has been busy ever since. Like, just wild, right? Okay. So is this the time? And this doctor said, if 5 years passed, would I be happy with where I am now? I talk about $1 million questions. That's a $1 million question right there, right? I wish I had joined 4 years ago. This is them giving you their own wisdom, their own experience. This doctor said, I joined because staying stuck felt heavier, right? Staying stuck is heavier than moving forward. Okay. About money, like, oh my goodness, like, can I invest in myself? This doctor said, there is a cost, and we must understand this. There is a cost to not investing in yourself. There's a cost to not changing. There's a cost to doing business the exact same way that produced a result different from what you're trying to create. There is a cost to that. We looked at the average growth. Again, this is the average. And it's 390,000. Now, am I promising you 300,000? Of course not, right? Like, because you'd have to do the work and all of this other stuff. But the thing is, what are we giving up? Is it 390,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 1 million? Is it 3 million? Right? What are we giving up by not investing in ourselves, by not becoming the physician CEO, by not building the #1 brand, by not building the revenue generation system, by not building the 7-figure team? What is the cost of that? It's staggering. Okay. And this other doctor said, you can't afford not to. The growth is priceless. Third doctor said, once you start and you can see it, you can do it. Right? So when it comes to fear, because fear is a big thing. What I hear works from all these people, but they're unicorns. What about me? Right? But this is the deal. We have to remember who we are. We have to remember what we've overcome. We have to remember what we've accomplished. And if we could go through medical school, if we could memorize the Krebs cycle, if we could intubate babies, if we could quote unquote raise people from the dead, which is what I call running codes, we can do this, right? Okay. So this doctor said, I started to practice as an EM physician I never thought possible. And she's killing it, right? She's like still shaking in my boots, but now I have community, right? And when you come into the community, you find out that even the person who did $9.5 million is scared of stuff. It's just that they don't let the fear stop them. And you're like, oh, apparently this is normal. Right? And this doctor says, now I'm a physician entrepreneur. You see that identity again? And what does that mean? It means if I'm a physician entrepreneur, that I can build a brand, I can build the revenue generation systems, and I can build the profitable team. And let's go. I can do this, right? Okay. So again, these are their words. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about these things. How do we solve the things that could be your biggest concerns? One of them, a big one, is I don't have time. Okay. I don't have time. Again, if you don't have time, this is the very neat reason you need this, because we're burning daylight. Okay. We're burning daylight. There's time you could spend with your family, time you could spend on your health, time you could spend with your faith, time you could spend on other aspects of your life. And we have been taught to sacrifice every hour we have. But what if you could get more done and have more time? This is what happens a lot in the school, and the numbers will show you that. Okay. So if you feel like you don't have time, it's not a time problem. People say, I don't have time. I'm like, what do you mean? You're dead? Like, if you're alive, you have time. You have 24 hours every single day. So it's not about the time. There are people running 150 companies, right? So again, it's not about the time. It's about how we use it. It's about how we leverage it. It's not a time problem. It's a system problem. It's a time management problem, right? And so there are two pillars, two core pillars that address this. In the physician CEO pillar, one of the things we do is we help you build your CEO calendar. This tool alone shows you how to claim back your time, shows you how to get all the clutter, the things you don't have any business doing, off your calendar. It shows you how to schedule your most important things first. It shows you how to identify in your business the things you should focus on, and the things that are minutia mean nothing. Okay? So we go deep on that, real deep. Pillar 4, the 7-figure team, because now you are extended, you're multiplied, because you learn how to use team. And for those of you in EBS, we're doing team. Some of them are going to be human team members, and some of them are going to be bots. We show you how to use all of them. Okay. All right. So in the school, when we looked at the data, 74% of the doctors took more than 2 weeks off in 2025. 44%. That's fairly close to 50. Okay. 44% took a full month or more. 5% took 3 months or more, and the business kept running. 3 months. A full month. Do you see that? Because they're taught to do these things. And so here, if it's because of time, it's totally doable. Even for a mom with responsibility, my kids will be fine. And even better, if I scale as a person, step into my real self. Okay. There are many doctors in the EntreMD business school who are mommies. In the 5.5 years the school has been open, we have never had a call where a kid did not come on the call. We call them EBS Junior. Okay. There are also them, as many as 5 kids, right? I have 4, there are lots of kids in the school, but we keep it moving. So if you don't have the time, that's a signal to join, not a signal to stay away. Okay. Because we help you solve that. That's the problem we solve. Okay. Next thing, it's not the right time. Okay, it's not the right, after X. I will do this after X. There will never be a right time. There will never be a right time. So you saw these results. Dr. Moyer's 2.5 extra revenue in the first 6 months. Dr. Stacy Ishman, the big results she got. Dr. Kaufman going from employee to multiple 7 figures. Like, at some point, you have to draw the line in the sand and say, okay, enough. We are going to change things. There is no right time. So I hereby baptize this time as the right time. Now is the time. And now is all we have. Now really is all we have. And so this doctor said, if 5 years passed, would I be happy with where I am now? If the answer is no, then join and find that best version of yourself that is hiding. It's time to make the transition. It's time to move forward. And in the times we live in, please hear me when I say this, the rate of change of the world is so fast. Like, technology made it fast. AI has made it much faster. The rate of transformation is so quick that if you stay the same or you're improving marginally, you are being left behind. And I'm not saying that to scare you, or I'm not into fear mongering or anything like that, but is the reality at play. We have to understand that, and we have to move with the times. Okay. All right. So there is no right time. Now is the time, right? Now is all we got. Okay. Another thing that comes up is I can't afford the 30K investment, which is the investment. If you notice, I don't call it an expense. It's not an expense. It's an investment. Now, I want you to look at the average revenue growth in 2025, 390,000. I want you to look at Dr. Ishmael, who's like a 6x my ROI in the first 6 months. Look at Dr. Morris, who said I made my investment back in 30 days. Okay. And I want you to think about, it's not really, can I afford this? Is it, can I afford to stay the same? Because that is the more expensive thing. The more expensive thing is staying the same. The more expensive thing is staying the same. Like anything else, there are doctors who happily will spend $30,000 redoing their kitchen, $30,000 going on vacation. And I'm not saying don't do any of these things. I'm just telling you the things that we invest in. If you got to invest in real estate for 30,000, which, you know, that's a small investment for real estate, you'd happily do it. You want to get a VT SAX and set it and forget it, and you did 30,000. But your best appreciating asset is you. This is why I happily invest 6 figures in myself every year. Again, I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just telling you how sure I am of this, that I do it at more than 3 times the investment of the EntreMD Business School. Why do I do that? Because the best performing asset is me. I have made the transition from employed physician to doctor who owns a practice, to physician entrepreneur who owns a practice, to physician entrepreneur who has a practice with that works without her and has worked without her for the last 5 years, to a doctor who has built a business school. And like, you don't do all of those transitions by being the same. Your internal transformation precedes the transformation on the outside. It is a requirement. If you don't change, the radical change you're looking on the outside can't happen. That precedes it. Okay. It won't work for someone like me. Okay. So in the EntreMD Business School, we have private practice docs, DPC docs, coaching and consulting, speaking and events. We have entrepreneurs. Okay. We have people who are entrepreneurs and building personal brands, all of this stuff. All of it. So does it work for somebody like you? Yes, it does. Okay. Average revenue in EBS Grow, 534,000. Okay. And these includes our entrepreneurs. EBS Skill, 2.25 million. Okay. And look at the net promoter score. So does it work? Yes. And I'm going to tell you who this is for. You know, let's talk about that for a second. So EBS is not for everyone. I would like to say it's for everyone, but the truth of the matter, it's not for everyone. It is for a certain kind of doctor. It's for a doctor who is committed to building a 7 or multiple 7-figure business. Now, notice I said committed, not interested. Somebody who is in, somebody who has decided, I am going to do this. I am looking for the mentorship, accountability, and community that will help me make it easier for me to pull this off. But I have decided to do this. It doesn't matter whether you are starting off or you are at multiple 7 figures, but this is your attitude. If this is your attitude, you will love the EntreMD Business School and you will win in the EntreMD Business School. Somebody who is willing to do the work. This is not a spectator sport. This is not about learning and getting certificates. This is not about that. This is about doing the work. And I promise you, a lot of times the work will be uncomfortable. That's why you need the mentorship, you need the accountability, and you need the community, because it is uncomfortable. But with these 3 things, you will be okay with the discomfort as you move forward. Okay? With someone who is willing to problem solve. Because let me tell you what happens when you get into business, when you get into taking your business in a hyper growth state, problems will appear. And so if the problem appears and your reaction to it is to be paralyzed, to run away, to blame other people and all of that stuff, you will not like the school. I promise you, because problems are going to show up. But if you have questions, we'll help you answer them. If you just need a boost, we will give you the boost you need. If you need someone to tell you stories about how they overcame that, there'll be people to do that for you. People rally around you. But you have to decide, I'm going to come out of this. I'm going to figure this out. Okay. So on your side, what we need is commitment. On our side, we will bring world-class mentorship. We are committed to it. Fierce accountability. We are committed to it, and a community of physicians. So we have curated a community of physicians who are, I mean, like, phenomenal. You get to be with people who are like vision boards, no matter the stage of your business, no matter the stage. Okay. So what do you get? Weekly mentorship and accountability. We already talked about, the calls every week. A thriving community of physician entrepreneurs. The people, you're looking at this data. Those are the people who be your classmates. Full access to the EntreMD methodology. So those 4 pillars with the 3 underneath them, and every month you're gaining mastery of one. So every month you're better, right? Structured monthly sprints. We've talked about that. We have 2 in-person retreats per year, right? That you get to have access to. You're eligible to register to attend. We have one coming up next month, actually. Yeah. And then your CEO identity development. We pay close attention to this because you can't be a 6-figure entrepreneur until you hit that identity. You can't become a 7-figure entrepreneur until you hit that identity. You can't become an 8-figure entrepreneur until you hit that identity. We understand that. So we get rid of that roadblock because it's a roadblock if it's not developed. Okay. This is our big goal. You've heard me talk about this forever. We want to help 100,000 physicians. We're not putting 100,000 physicians in the EntreMD Business School, but for everyone who comes into the EntreMD Business School, it creates radical change. The ripple effect of that is just wild. We want to make burnout a thing that is strange, not mainstream. We want to make doctors playing small very strange, not mainstream. We want to see an end to brilliant physicians settling for less. And we see physicians as the leaders inside and outside of healthcare. And this is exactly what is happening with the doctors in the EntreMD Business School. So the question is not really whether physician entrepreneurship works. The data shows that it does. The question is if you'll be in the room where it's happening. Okay. So 7-figure business, right? Remember, again, that's the floor, not the ceiling. It starts with the decision. Okay. Everybody you see, the stories that we read, it all started one way. They were done selling for the revenue that does not match their value. They were done selling for a schedule that owns them. They were done selling for building it alone. And here we are working on 7 figures as the floor, not the ceiling. So again, if you've been thinking about it, is decision time. Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to do what we've always done? Are we going to do something different? Are we going to put ourselves in this wonderful container where we get the mentorship, the accountability, the community, right? And we've tried to make this as bulletproof as we can. Like, if you come in and follow the framework, you are going to win, right? You are going to win. So entremd.com/business. That's where you go to apply. As you can see, we do not do any high pressure sales type stuff. We're not trying to force you to do anything. We know who this is a good fit for. And if you're like, yep, I'm the person and I'm ready for the result, whether that's you at a multiple 7-figure level and stuff like that, fill out the application. Team will reach out to you and we'll take it from there. We'd love to welcome you in if it's the right fit and that's what you're looking for. So that's what I got for you guys. So if you have questions, hello@entremd.com. We'll go over there. We'll answer them and stuff like that. But you can turn in an application. But this is the thing. This is our commitment. I think this is where I'll leave you guys. Our commitment to you is if you bring your commitment, that's literally all we want. Let's do something funny here. Because, sometimes we use words. I do this all the time. We use words and we kind of know what they mean, but we don't know what they mean. So let me read this. A commitment means the state or quality of being dedicated to a cause or an activity. What is the cause? Building a thriving business. 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures. You're committed. You're dedicated. If you can bring that with you, we will match you and we will bring our commitment, which looks like world-class mentorship. The reason I continue investing in myself at a ridiculous level is because of the commitment I have made to making sure you always have access to world-class mentorship. You have access to accountability, the accountability required for radical growth, and a community of doctors, elite physician entrepreneurs. We will match you with those 3 things. Now, you bring your commitment, and we bring these 3 things. It's called a match made in heaven. And you will become a person that will shock you, and you will create a business that will shock you. Well, we have studied this for 5.5 years. This is all we need. Commitment from you. You have that, you can win. You will love the EntreMD Business School. It will change your life forever. I would really love for you to join us to be vision boards for the physicians, showing them what is possible, showing them this alternate reality can become our reality.